suspenseful today in the selection show. For the head coach.
Wow. Yeah, it was, it's been probably a nervous 4 days. If you talk to my wife, she must be close to an angel. I probably watched with that ESPN3 app. I've no less watched parts of like 75 games the last 3 or 4 days. And whoever you're pulling for, it doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? Something always happens. And I got to figure out that we're not the only teams in the country that make mistakes. I've seen some of the worst baseball at times in crucial situations. And yeah, it's been nerve-wracking because, last year, D1 Baseball America, they've been doing it for a lot of years, and they spend a lot of time doing it. It's like Jay Billis does in basketball, very knowledgeable, know what they're doing. They follow the game, they watch a lot of games, and they get it right, And last year they had us as a 2 seed. So from 2 seed to not going, and I'm sure there's some teams that feel like that right now today, and I feel bad for those teams, but as much as I was sure we were in, because we followed all the criteria they said didn't work last year, and it worked out. But then if you watch the selection show, which after we got in, that's the last thing I watched because everybody was going crazy, right? So I went back and watched the tape version, and they talked about this RPI thing. It's got to be adjusted now. So what scares you is we've made the schedule for 2 years out. If they come along and adjust this RPI thing, you just need to know what criteria you're working with. And then they got to follow that criteria. But yeah, excited to be in, excited for myself. I told the players it never gets old to go. I don't care how many times you've been. I don't care how old you are. Going is what this is all about. And, but you didn't want to walk into those. I had to walk into some of these guys 2 years ago in Omaha at 1:30 in the morning, getting them out of bed, tell them that the NCAA made one of the worst decisions of all time, and try to explain that, and which was inexplainable. Then last year, we knew we didn't get in, and the players, JT Jarrett called me and said, "Coach, will you have a team meeting at 6 o'clock and try to explain this to us?" And so I did that. So, the last 2 days I live with the fear of looking at these same guys in the eyes, Sam Highfield, Logan Whitaker, Noah Souls, and saying, "Hey, I don't know what happened. You did everything you needed to do, but it didn't happen." So, yeah, when I saw our name go up, I think I gave it the old Tiger Woods, whatever that is. That and I saw it from my players, and then we went over to one of the iconic places here in Raleigh. Media was my relationship with Dick DeAngelis was just, I've been over there so many times with George Tarantini and V and, Ray Tanner, and just, to go over there and let the guys celebrate what it really means for NC State athletics, because the media is kind of a museum of NC State athletics, and that was fun. And now we're going to have a nice practice under the lights, and hopefully it won't rain.
What about seeing Campbell pop up on the other?
I didn't even see who popped up. After we got in, the place was going crazy. I didn't find out who we were playing until like 20 minutes later. And I think that's great. The NCAA does have a habit of sending people close to home. So you figured, when the Charlotte Regional, we were in that second half of the show where you're like, we're running out of opportunities here. And I knew, Myrtle Beach was left, and I knew Charlotte was left. And I figured if we were in, we were going to one of those 2 places. And yeah, Campbell, what a great year they've had. And I listened to the show, and they talked about how they might have an extra chip on their shoulder because of the regional thing. And a lot of people felt like they should have hosted, and I know Campbell does. And I think they were in that top. They obviously went by RPI and strength of schedule. I think we had a RPI of like 23 or 4. It kind of fluctuated all week. And then a strength of schedule of like 21. But I think Campbell might have been inside that RPI thing of top 16, and but despite all that, they just got a great team. They got a really good team who, a lot of older guys playing with a lot of confidence, good pitching, good hitting. They do it all the way around. And what a great job they've done there throughout the last few years, not just this year. So, and obviously then you got the other 2 teams that are there too. So you can't you got to focus on the first game, but there's 3 teams there. Besides us, and all think they have a chance to advance.
Talked to you a couple of days ago, Coach. Obviously, do you feel like you guys are playing some of your best baseball right now?
We are playing our best baseball this season. We've gone through a lot of things. You don't want to. I'll talk about it now, but you don't want to talk about during the season because you don't want to give the players any reason. I mean, right now, society, the NCAA has given them every opportunity to say, if things aren't going good for me, I'll do something else, right? What's going on in college athletics right now is absolutely absurd. And so you gotta focus on what you gotta do, not what's going wrong. But, we started out the season and we rushed fall practice to get them started on the field. So then you didn't have anywhere to do skill work. And then preseason, you go into Holly Springs and you're driving as much as you're practicing. And and with 21 new guys, this wasn't a good recipe, just wasn't a good formula to try to get a team together. You usually hope to try to get a team together by March. I think we got our team together sometime mid-May or something like that. And we're probably playing our best baseball of the season. But with that said, there's 63 other teams out there that might be playing their best baseball of the season and all year long have done it. So, but it's good to be dancing. That's what you play for. You play to dance in the postseason. And I'm excited for our players and excited for our program.
You talk about the chip on the shoulder. What about after the last 2 years, the way they ended the Omaha and the snow?
I understand the chip on the shoulder, but my thought process on it is a little bit different. I've never liked playing with a chip on my shoulder. It's kind of like you try to do too much, you're kind of angry. I'd rather you practice with a chip on your shoulder and prepare all off season with a chip on your shoulder. But generally, when that's why I don't ever talk about it, because I don't want our players to play with a chip on their shoulder. I want them to practice and prepare in the off season with a chip on the shoulder. And then I think it works, you know what I'm saying? But to play with one, you won't hear me talk about that.
Obviously, you're going to South Carolina. When you think about the people in your adult life, baseball life, the impacts they've had, where does Ray Tanner rank?
Oh gosh, I mean, I've been so fortunate. I mean, you can look up this wall, and I've been so fortunate. When you talk about the people here and everywhere, Coach Frazier at Lewisburg College reached out to me today. Tony Guzzo, who gave me my first start in college baseball and introduced me to college baseball. I mean, there's people up and down, but then when you think about NC State, I'll always say Sam Esposito is the godfather of NC State athletics. People talk about Coach Yao, and her office is right across the hall from mine. She was awesome. Coach Yao meant a lot to me. Coach V, obviously. Coach V is kind of our icon symbol here at NC State. And Coach Sheridan. I mean, you can go down the list. And Les Robinson, what he meant to me, and he gave me my first opportunity here at NC State to coach. But, when you talk about Coach Esposito, Coach Guzzo, the wrestling coach, what you have to understand, we were all there together every morning at 5:30 in Coach Esposito's office, and everybody would drop in. Coach Guzzo, Coach Valvano, everybody would drop in there, and it all started there. And so for me, he not only built this NC State baseball program, he built a lot of things that we've celebrated in NC State sports here. And then Ray Tanner, who played for Coach Espo and took over for Coach Espo and was his right-hand man. And then Coach Tanner gave me my first opportunity here on his first staff to be an assistant coach. And so what he means to me is obviously, matter of fact, he already texted me and he calls me Hoss. He said, let me know what you need, Hoss. And, that'll be special to go there, to be with Coach Tanner, because for what he did for this program and what he's done at South Carolina, he's just, he's an absolute legend in our business. And so it will be nice to see Ray.
Do you think the experience of the past, I guess 2 years ago, playing some SEC teams can help you with some of the guys you have left over from that team in 21?
Oh, I absolutely think so. I mean, the experiences we draw in that room, we've been to, I say Arkansas because you mentioned SEC teams, but the week before we went to Louisiana Tech. And that's a heck of a program and a heck of a experience there. They do it right there, Louisiana Tech. What a program and experience that was. And like you said, Alabama was there, and then we go to Arkansas, and that's, people still talk, they talk about Omaha, but I think people talk about Arkansas more than they talk about Omaha, because that was such a prolific series that had everything in it. And so that's something that everybody talks about. And so, yeah, I think those experiences, playing the 2 games we just played at DBAP with Duke and Miami, they were 2 of the best ACC tournament games I've ever been a part of. And they had everything. And so I think all that grows experience, you know what I'm saying? And all that is what it does for you.
the state of baseball in North Carolina with all the teams that are hosting and playing?
Somebody told me there were 8 teams in the state. I think one of our players at Meteos, I heard him say there are 8 teams in the regionals of the state of North Carolina. That just shows not how only good our league is, but who we play in non-conference. If there's 8 teams from North Carolina, I think I heard him say that's a record. And I'm not saying for any state, but for our state, if that's true. I hadn't sat down and even looked at the brackets. I don't know who's playing who, except I know we have Campbell at 1 o'clock on Friday.
Elliott, you know, sometimes the ACC can be a meat grinder. So getting out of the ACC and seeing these other teams, how does that bode well for the Wolfpack here?
Well, I always say the ACC tournament is much tough, not much tough, that's wrong. It's as tough as a regional. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you got more teams in it. It's a regional with more teams, is what it is. Because every team in the ACC is either in a regional or should be in a regional. I think it was Mike Rooney talking about it's time to expand, instead of talking about who didn't get in and the criteria of the RPI, talk about expanding the tournament, because we left a lot of good teams out today. And so I'd say the ACC tournament is so hard to win. That's why I read something the other day. It's the first time a 4 seeds won it since whatever year, and a 1 seed hadn't won it in, you know, whatever. It's, you get in that tournament, and it's so many good teams, and if you're playing next week, you're trying to plan for next week. So yeah, that the ACC tournament definitely helps for this.
This is close enough for the state fans. You think they'll make the trip?
Oh, our fans are unbelievable. It's like, you know, when we play in Durham, we play in Charlotte, they always slate us for the night game because we draw. I mean, our fans are unbelievable. They're passionate. And it's 1 o'clock on a Friday, and it's a short work week because you got the day off. And by the way, with that, happy Memorial Day to everybody. I mean, I don't talk a lot of things in the locker room. We observe Veterans Day with a tradition we've done every year for 15 years. And today, Memorial Day, I hope our players understand what this day means. So, but with a short work week, and you've already missed one day, whether they can get to Columbia on Friday, 1 o'clock, I don't know. But I think our fans travel pretty good.
Who's your starter Friday?
I have no earthly idea, but I hadn't even seen our staff. I had to go somewhere after the show, and I've been doing that. Just got back, and I haven't even spoke to our staff. We got some choices, but Logan Whitaker's been going first day a lot. Sam Highfield, who's been in this kind of situation a lot. Matt Willison, who's been in this situation a lot. It'll be one of those 3, but I don't know which one it'll be.
When we think of Campbell, I think they're like the highest run production team, you know, in the nation. So I guess pitching is going to have to be a premium when you face those guys.
Well, pitching's at a premium no matter who you face. I mean, that's the name of this game. You know, it's, I don't know what Yogi Berra said, but he had a great statement about it one time. The pitching is a big part of this game. And so it doesn't matter who you play, but obviously Campbell, we've read their stuff. We play them every year. We miss them this year somehow. But they got a great team. You know what I'm saying? It's just not hitting or whatever. They got a great team. So yeah, we'll have to pitch, but we'll have to play defense, and we'll have to be opportunistic when we get runners on base.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thanks for all